You get a splinter in your finger. It is small, almost nothing. You pull out with your fingernail, wipe the spot, and forget about it in under a minute. But your body does not forget about it, because in that half second before you even felt the sting, something ancient woke up inside you. Something that has been running, without pause, since before you had a name. And what happens next, inside a wound the size of a pinprick, is closer to a full-scale war than anything you will ever consciously experience. You just never get the briefing. Here is the moment you missed. The second that splinter breaks your skin, it carries in bacteria that have never been inside your body before. Your skin was the wall. Now there's a hole in the wall. And within seconds, chemical alarms are already spreading outward from the wound, like a flare going up over a battlefield. You don't feel this part. You just feel the sting, and then you move on with your day. Your body does not move on. Special cells called mast cells, sitting just under your skin, sense the damage and release a chemical called histamine. Histamine tells nearby blood vessels to widen. That's why the skin around a cut turns red and puffs up slightly. It's not damage you're seeing. It's a door being propped open on purpose. Why would your body want blood vessels wider right at the site of an invasion? Because it needs a highway. Wider vessels mean more blood can reach the area fast, and blood is carrying the first responders. These are called neutrophils, and they are, without exaggeration, some of the most aggressive cells in your entire body. A neutrophil finds a bacterium, wraps around it, and dissolves it using its own internal acid. It does this within minutes of the wound happening. It does not wait for permission. It does not need to know what species of bacteria this is. It just attacks anything that doesn't belong. This entire first wave is called the innate immune system. It was first properly described by a Russian scientist named Elie Mechnikov in the 1880s, after he watched a transparent starfish larva engulf a rose thorn under his microscope. He called the process phagocytosis, from Greek words meaning to devour. He won a Nobel Prize for it, and more than a century later, it's still one of the most important discoveries in the history of medicine, because it proved something people didn't expect. Your body doesn't wait to be told what danger looks like. Part of it already knows. But here's the strange part. The innate system is fast, but it's blunt. It attacks based on general shape, not specific identity. It's like a security guard who tackles anyone wearing the wrong color uniform without checking a badge. So what happens when the invader is smarter than that? What happens when it's not a splinter, but a virus, one your body has genuinely never encountered before? This is where the story gets stranger. And this is where you meet the second army. While the neutrophils are busy fighting at the wound, other cells called dendritic cells are doing something different. They're not trying to kill anything. They're collecting evidence. A dendritic cell grabs a fragment of the invader, a tiny piece of its protein, and carries it, like a courier running behind enemy lines, to a lymph node. You've felt lymph nodes before. They're the small lumps that swell in your neck or armpit when you're sick. That swelling isn't a symptom of illness. It's a military briefing happening in real time, right under your skin. Inside that lymph node, the dendritic cell presents its fragment to a type of cell called a T cell. And this is the moment your immune system stops being a blunt instrument and becomes something closer to an intelligence agency. You have millions of different T cells circulating through your body right now, and each one is shaped to recognize one specific threat, and only that one. It's like carrying a key ring with 10 million keys on it, each cut for a lock that may never exist, just in case. Most of those keys will never be used in your entire lifetime. But the one time the right lock appears, the matching T cell binds to it, and it begins to multiply. Fast. Within days, that single T cell has produced an army of identical clones, all trained on that one specific enemy. This discovery, how the immune system tells the difference between what belongs to you and what doesn't, was worked out in detail by two immunologists, Peter Doherty and Rolf Zinkernagel, in the 1970s. They showed that T cells don't just recognize a virus floating free in your blood. They recognize infected cells, cells that are already showing a piece of the virus on their own surface, like a hostage silently signaling for help. For that discovery, they shared a Nobel Prize in 1996. Meanwhile, another set of cells, B cells, are doing something just as remarkable. They're manufacturing antibodies, Y-shaped proteins built to latch onto the invader and either disable it directly or mark it so clearly that other immune cells can find and destroy it without hesitation. Once your body figures out the right antibody shape, it doesn't throw that blueprint away. And this is the twist that changes how you should think about being sick in the first place. Most of what you feel when you're ill isn't the virus hurting you. The fever, the fatigue, the ache in your joints, the loss of appetite. Those aren't malfunctions. They're strategy. A fever raises your internal temperature because many pathogens replicate best at your normal body temperature, and a few degrees higher slows them down while speeding up your immune response. The exhaustion that makes you want to lie still isn't weakness. It's your body redirecting energy away from movement and toward the war happening inside you. You think you're sick because the invader is winning. Often, you feel sick because your own body is fighting so hard. Let that sit for a second. Your discomfort is often evidence that your defense is working, not that it's failing. So why, then, does your body sometimes turn that same intelligent machinery against you? This is the part almost no one is told, and it's arguably the most important part of the whole story. The same system built to memorize every threat can, in rare cases, misfire and memorize you. It mistakes a healthy cell for an enemy and attacks it with the same precision it would use on a virus. This is what happens in autoimmune conditions like type 1 diabetes, lupus, and rheumatoid arthritis. It's not that the immune system is weak. In many autoimmune conditions, it's almost too effective, just aimed at the wrong target. Understanding this misfire is one of the largest areas of medical research happening right now, because if scientists can learn to redirect that precision rather than suppress it entirely, it could change how these conditions are treated for good. And this brings the story back to something you've actually experienced, something you might not have thought about the same way since. A vaccine isn't medicine in the traditional sense. It's a rehearsal. It shows your immune system a harmless fragment or a weakened version of a threat, so that if the real version ever shows up, your body already has the blueprint ready. Your T cells and B cells have already met the enemy, just in a controlled setting, like a fire drill instead of an actual fire. That's why the second exposure, the real one, so often passes without you even noticing. Your immune system has already fought that exact war once, in miniature, and won. Even sleep plays a role in this you were probably never taught. Research on sleep-deprived adults has repeatedly found that even one night of poor sleep can measurably lower the effectiveness of immune cells the following day. Your body doesn't just rest while you sleep. It uses that time to consolidate its defenses, the same way an army regroups overnight before the next day's advance. Chronic stress does something similar in reverse, keeping your body flooded with hormones that were meant for short bursts of danger, wearing down the very system meant to protect you. None of this is happening in some abstract organ you can point to. There's no single place in your body where the immune system lives. It's distributed. It's in your bloodstream, your lymph nodes, your gut lining, your bone marrow, your skin. It is, in a very real sense, the most widespread organ system you have, and also the one you're least aware of, right up until it either saves you or turns on you. You're not one body walking through the world. You are a body constantly negotiating with everything that touches it, deciding in fractions of a second what belongs and what doesn't, fighting wars you'll never be briefed on, in rooms you'll never see, using an intelligence network built from 100 million years of trial and error. So the next time you pull a splinter out of your finger and forget about it 30 seconds later, remember what you're actually forgetting. Somewhere under that tiny red mark, a war just ended. And you won without ever knowing it started.